record on the cloud. All right. Good evening and afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Denoy, and I am in the Dominican Republic, and I will be getting everybody to introduce themselves before we move on. So unmute yourself when I ask you to, and tell us where you are, because we all know who everybody is. So Doug, could you tell us where you are today? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Peter. Joanne and I have just arrived in San Miguel Allende, near Guadalajara, Mexico. Fabulous place. Got a wonderful, wonderful house sit here. It's just spectacular, and the community looks really wonderful and interesting. And we'll be here for a month. So
how many dogs? How many dogs?
5 cats.
Oh, that's one dog.
No,
takes about the work of one dog.
6 cats, but I have to keep it. I have to do a head count. There's 6. It's a fabulous place. It's really wonderful, and I look forward to Elly's presentation. Thank you.
Okay, David.
Yes, sir. Here in sunny Cochrane, Alberta, 7 degrees today. Great afternoon for a walk.
All right, thank you. The ladies in British Columbia.
First, okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Undina, and we are here in Sharon's beautiful home, and we're enjoying each other and also everyone there on the screen. We're looking forward to Elly's presentation, and we are in BC, Chilliwack, BC.
Hi, Sharon Blaker, and we still have snow. It hasn't all melted here yet, but it was a warm day today and sunny, and the dog and I enjoyed a walk and found a dandelion in bloom today. So there you go.
All right. There's hope, you mean to say. Goodbye, lady. We are not going to introduce you. We'll do that later. Bruce, can you tell us, can you talk at all, or can you just type?
It's going to be pretty noisy, but I'll say Bruce on my way to Costa Rica through LA, and LAX is the usual zoo.
Thank you. That's good. Good to see you made it fine there. Lynn.
Good evening. I'm tuning in from Stratford, where it's cold, but sunny. Was sunny all day today and this week, I think. So good to be here.
All right. Thank you. Jean-Michel.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry if I have a little bit of a funny voice from a sore throat. Yes, but we, like we heard from David, we are having a beautiful weather. I went for a long walk in the sunshine, beautiful sunset over the mountains. And yes, I'm still in Calgary. Welcome, everybody.
All right, thank you, Jean-Michel. And I understand he was in a warm country and he came back in a bad time, so that's why his voice is affected. Noberto, who still is in Ottawa.
Today was sunny, but you may imagine very cold here, minus 20 something. But I'm getting used to. I'm planning to go to Punta Cana next week, and next month, hopefully, I will go to Guatemala and finally try to meet Vicky's, because the last time I was in Guatemala, I tried to meet Vicky, but unfortunately, we could not meet.
Awesome.
But nice to be with you again.
Thank you for coming. John.
Hi, I'm here in Blaine, Washington, and everybody's talking about the weather up in Canada. I guess everybody down here is talking about various S-holes or S-houses.
In Canada?
No, down here in Washington.
Oh.
So we a different perspective on life if you live in the U.S. these days.
We share we share all that with you.
John, I'm sure
Thanks,
the S house is cold.
Okay, Vicky, where are you?
Turn on to speak. There we are. I'm here. Sorry, I can't get my video to work because I'm on my phone, but I'm here in Guatemala, and I hate to say it, but I'm cold, and it's a whole 16 degrees, going down to 11 tonight. Cooler than normal. So I have acclimatized to warm weather, and a little bit of cold really throws me off. But, all right. And Nosberto, I'm sorry I missed you last time, but next time we'll make a plan, okay?
Yeah, we'll try. I promise. Thank you.
Okay, now I'll get to, on behalf of Bruce, to introduce Elly, our speaker, and also who is present. And Bruce, being in LAX, put something in the chat. So Elly is the Rotarian who first conceived the idea of an e-club in Canada, and emailed every Rotarian in Canada and offered to lead the beginning of our club. And that was almost 7 years ago. Of course, she was the first president of the club in July 2013. Is a past district governor, now membership committee chair, and we're all looking forward to hearing more about Rotary, anytime, anywhere. Elly, welcome. We're looking forward to your presentation, and go for it.
Can't hear you, Elly.
I think Elly's still muted, isn't she?
Okay. No,
I just unmuted you.
okay,
But you have to start all over again because you were muted.
okay. Sorry. It was December 10, 1948, and I was born as the third child in the Vermeulen family. Baby number 4 followed 11 months later. Dad was an accountant, and in his spare time, he sailed, raced pigeons and motorbikes, winning the Dutch championship in bike crossing. He had very little time for his family. In June of 1951, on his way to a client, he was a chartered accountant, a truck crashed into his motorbike, leaving mom with 4 kids, ages 1.5 to 6, a lot of debt, no life insurance, no savings, and no social assistance. Mom quickly learned how to sew. She got a sewing machine and started doing contract work. Within a few years, she became a seamstress, designing and sewing for the well-to-do. She had not much time for us and was rather strict. I wasn't really interested in school. I wanted to play. At 14, I started working at home with my mom, learning how to sew, and soon I was hired at a Jewish fashion house doing alterations. But mom figured that a formal education would be better, and she enrolled me in evening classes. But I wanted to make my own decisions, and I went to work for the government, tallying up money orders. At 17, I moved out of the house, got engaged, and married at 19. After several jobs in data entry, I went to work in a drugstore, selling cosmetics, Band-Aids, and licorice. Now that was fun. My husband, who had spent a few summers in Canada, wanted to emigrate to be with his sister who lived in Edmonton. And in 1972, we went for 6 weeks, and the 2 siblings made a plan. We were coming back to Canada. Now at 24, I was quite naive, and I agreed, without really knowing what I got into. Neither my in-laws nor my mom were very happy. But on April 30, 1973, we arrived in Edmonton as landed immigrants. What an adjustment. I did not like basement suites, cooking on electric hot plates, mosquitoes, overhead power lines, Canadian bread and coffee, powdered milk, corn on the cob, nor the Alberta winters. I missed my Holland, but there was no way going back. I was depressed and I needed to get busy. I found a job at GWG, sewing jeans, and that was awful. So I went back to data entry at Western Linen Supplies this time. Then we moved into our own apartment, and my husband got a job as a trucker and drove every night back and forth from Edmonton to Saskatchewan. And I was so lonely. I thought, is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? I enrolled in cosmetology school, and I learned about skincare, pedicures, manicures, electrolysis, massages. And then I got hired at the Hudson Bay Company in the cosmetic department. Then we qualified for a low-income townhouse, and just days before the move, my husband broke his femur bone. He was off for work for a long time, and soon he ran out of benefits and did not qualify for compensation. So I became the breadwinner, and I needed a better paying job. So I found a job at Lynx Hardware in the computer room. Still childless, we looked into adoption, and in May of '76, we received a 3-month-old girl. With a disability pension, we put a small payment on a bungalow and got a subsidized mortgage from the government. Every weekday, I had to get up at 5 o'clock to feed Mandy, drive her to the daycare, and off to work. Then home again at 6 o'clock to cook dinner, and put the baby to bed, and spend the evenings alone again. Things did not work out very well, so we separated. Then in 1979, I met Ramiro. It was love at first sight. He was going to NAIT, and after his graduation, we moved to Mayerthorpe, just a small town. We both worked at Simpson Timber. Ramiro as a millwright, and I in the computer room. In my spare time, I took computer programming, taught beauty classes, and did facials in the local community, in the beauty salon. We got married in Holland in October of '81. In 1983, we moved to Spruce Grove and opened an antiques and collectibles business. Then we came onto a unique business opportunity, printing business cards in 1 hour on a hot foil printer. We later expanded to offset printing and opened our first print shop in 1985. Again, many courses I enrolled in: accounting, business administration, marketing and promotion, and graphic design. We continued to expand our business. We bought out the competition, and we purchased a property with a 21% interest mortgage. We joined the Chamber of Commerce, where I became a director. Often I worked 12 to 14-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, never learning how to relax. In 1991, we bought an acreage west of Spruce Grove, and now it was time to enjoy the occasional Sunday on the patio on a deck. Then Parkland County was awarded the Alberta Summer Games for '95, and I was recruited on the promotion committee as co-chair of Souvenirs, an opportunity to develop my leadership as well as creative skills. Ramiro had already joined Rotary, and he was club service director, and he recruited me to assist in organizing the social events. And soon after that, I joined the Rotary Club of Stony Plain. The week after my induction, I sat with the president-elect, and I asked her, so what am I supposed to do? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm not just coming here for breakfast every Wednesday morning. I want to do something. Well, she said, so why don't you become the club secretary next year? Well, most people would ask questions before they jump in. I had no idea what I got myself into now. 4 months later, after my induction, I attended the sex training. I loved it, and I went home with a book full of notes. My manual procedure, the Rotary manual procedure became my bedtime reading. My knowledge about Rotary services was quite limited, but I learned everything about policies and procedures. And I wanted to make a difference. Soon I was awarded as the Rotarian of the Year and was asked to stay on as secretary for another year. We learned about the youth exchange program, and we decided to host alternating. 1 year a student from Spruce Grove and the next year from Stony Plain. I had also recruited a number of new members, and I wondered why there was no Rotary Club in Whitecourt, which was close to the community where we lived before. Before we knew it, we were making weekly trips, 1.5-hour trips, back and forth, meeting with prospective members while I developed a provisional Rotary Club manual. In May of '98, we celebrated the charter night of the Rotary Club of Whitecourt, co-sponsored by Edmonton, Glenora, Stony Plain, and Spruce Grove. And this led to me being asked to chair the District Extension Committee, and later the District Membership Committee. It was 1998, and Dr. John Patterson was District Governor. I was President-elect. I was so inspired by his presentation at his official visit, and a little voice inside me said, one day you will be District Governor. And I thought, oh my God, there's no way. I am way too little and I'm way too shy, really. By then, we had attended 4 district conferences, meeting lots of Rotarians, visiting clubs as extension and membership chair, and chartered 6 new clubs. I wanted to try new things. And I suggested, a Sunday family brunch club and a young generation cocktail club. And Urban Spirits and Rotary After Dark came out of those thoughts. There was also very little history available in our district about what club has sponsored who. So I developed the district family tree. In May of 2000, we drove to San Antonio, Texas for our very first international convention, and we loved everything Rotary. Before I was installed as president of my club, we attended our second convention in Buenos Aires. And that fall, we went to Salt Lake City to attend the Presidential Membership Conference, which was chaired by RI President Richard King. And all this time, I thought I was a Rotarian. But I realized I was just a member of a Rotary Club. One of the speakers gave a very emotional presentation about an orphanage in Romania, which he and his club helped improving the condition under which these abandoned babies lived. The presentation left me just speechless. And after the presentation, I went up to him and I said, I want to become a Rotarian. So he said, well, why don't you join a Rotary Club? No, I said, I want to become a Rotarian. Well, he didn't get it, but that day in September of 2001, I became a Rotarian. For those who don't know, the Rotary world is divided into zones, each holding an annual zone institute. We were then Zone 22, covering Canada, Alaska, east of the Ural Mountains in Russia, and the islands of Miquelon and St. Pierre. As district membership chair, I was invited to attend the Zone Institute in Anchorage, Alaska, where I heard Carolyn Jones speak about an orphanages or her orphanage projects in Siberia. And then I knew that if I would ever get involved in an international project, it would be about children. Then at another zone institute in Halifax in 2002, District Governor Cease Blackburn said, Elly, I think you would make a great district governor. And I said, you know, get out of there, there's no way. But he had friends in the Stony Plain Club, and he convinced them to complete the application, and we worked together. And when I walked away from that interview without being announced, I knew that in 2006, I would be district governor. Now, in April of 2004, Ramiro went as a GSE team leader to Chile for 6 weeks. And our district conference started the day of his return. And just before the annual meeting, District Governor Judy Harcourt says to me, Elly, the DGN, the district governor nominee, won't be able to serve. Can you step up 1 year earlier? Well, wow. Now, all of a sudden, in 6 weeks, I would be district governor-elect. Very little time to prepare for my role as district governor the next year. It was customary in our district for the district governor to select an international project. And I wanted to go to Siberia. We received an exploratory grant from RI, and in May of 2005, we flew to Irkutsk. We found 4 worthy projects related to children, and after several presentations, we raised close to $30,000 from clubs in our district. My year as district governor was most rewarding. I overcame my insecurity, my shyness. Seriously, I used to be a shy person. And after enrolling in Toastmasters, my fear of public speaking. My friend and mentor, Zone Director Monty Ottenhart, invited me to serve as Zone Membership Coordinator, which was a great learning experience for me. Soon after that, I was asked to facilitate a breakout session at the International Convention, and I spoke at the Zone Institute, where RI President Will Wilkinson invited me to represent him at a district conference in Tennessee. At that time, I was also the Zone Bulletin editor, and I worked with Hans Granholm in improving Club Runner in our district. I was having fun in Rotary, and it took up a lot of my time. So we decided we wanted to retire. So we started talking about selling our printing business, which we did in August of 2008. And that was just perfect, because RI President John Kenny had invited me on his team to promote the Montreal Convention throughout Canada. Another great experience for me. It was such a great team to work with and an opportunity to visit Montreal and learn what it had to offer to Canadian Rotarians. That spring, we had attended our first Project Amigo work week, and we were now free to go back for the winter months, where I revised all the promotional material, and I was asked to form a Canadian board, of which I became the first president. Upon our return to Canada, there was a letter from RI President John Kenny if I would represent him in Albany, New York at a district conference. Well, that was an offer, of course, I couldn't receive. But Project Amigo has crawled under our skins, and we accepted an invitation as volunteer coordinators for the 6 months during the winter season. Now, Mexico is a pretty good place to spend the winters. So we accepted an invitation to be volunteer coordinators again the next year. Now, it was definitely not a vacation. Our occasional days off we spent in Manzanillo, and we figured it was time to join the snowbirds there. We loved the ocean, and we found a condo at the beach. Our first winter in Mexico, 2012 and 3, was just paradise. While volunteering at Project Amigo, there had been no opportunity to attend Rotary meetings. And although our work there was considered as makeups, I started to feel disconnected from my club. So since RI had approved e-clubs in 2010, I contacted our district governor asking if there would be a possibility to have an e-club in our district. Yeah, go right ahead, she said. So I started to learn everything I needed to know to charter an e-club. I wrote articles in the Zone newsletter. Facebook was not yet an option, asking anybody who was interested. Several people, including a certain Dr. Bruce Kleberger, contacted me and said, yes, let's do it. The rest is history. Our charter date was February 23, 2013. By then, I had learned so much about e-clubs that someone figured that I was an expert. And I received an invitation to be part of a discussion panel at the convention in Lisbon, Portugal. That same year, I received another letter from our president, Ron Burton, inviting me to represent him in Mexicali, Mexico. Now that's in Mexico, but I learned, and my first public speaking experience in Spanish was that week. Every single Rotary experience has been most rewarding, but I decided no more district, zone, or international assignments. My last experience was with the VVT team to Honduras in May of 2014. And that spring, I was also one of the recipients of District 5370 Women in Rotary, which was also a very humbling experience and a huge honor. Then we decided to sell our properties in Alberta, and in the fall of 2014, we moved to Osoyoos, Alberta, British Columbia, a place where our kids, grand and great kids could visit. Then we started making biannual trips to Alberta and always look forward to visit our kids and grandkids and the many friends that we have made in Rotary. I have a very good relationship with my two siblings and my mom, who still all live in Holland. And I call her many times a week. And we hope to go back to Holland soon, before it's too late for her. Looking back, the most important things in my life has been the 3 R's. Rotary, relationships, well, Ramiro came first. Ramiro first, relationships, and Rotary. And maybe one day I learned to accept R number 4, relax. But life is good for us, and I'm very grateful for all my Rotary friends and everything that Rotary has given us. Thank you.
Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Fantastic, Elly.
Thank you.
Muy bueno, Elly, muy buena. Buenísima.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Seguro.
Where's our Master of Ceremony? If you have any questions, I think we have another program on the go.
I unmuted everybody but myself. That's why. So anybody has any questions for Elly? Please. I have a question. all, you always have to classify as an individual. So of all these experiences in Rotary that you've had, which one jumps out? Does one jump out, or you have several?
No, there are many, because each one is a different type of experience. Like Project Amigo, it was initially a Rotary project, but that has changed our lives because it gives us an opportunity to volunteer. The very rewarding experience in Rotary, of course, were becoming district governor. First of all, being president, because I never thought I would have an opportunity to do that, and serve as district governor, and being asked by 3 international presidents to represent them. When I start writing this, I think, wow, have we ever done a lot? But as you go, you don't think of that. You think, oh, we could do more, we could do better, we could do different. But as far as accomplishments, chartering this club was a big accomplishment, and I'm very proud of that after 5 years we're still here. But no, every opportunity, every Rotary experience was special in its own way.
Thank you. Anybody else a question?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say, when you showed that family picture in 1951, it looks exactly like a family picture we have of me and my siblings. I had to do a double take.
That picture was taken a week before my dad died in this motorbike accident, because my mom was going to give it to him as a Father's Day present.
Wow.
So it's very special for our family.
Elly, it's Doug.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually heard where and how you met Romero.
Oh, that's a different presentation.
Will cost you money.
I was told that I could not have more than 20 minutes, so I thought we better leave that out.
Okay. We'll get Romero to do that presentation.
We'll get to that yet, dear Doug. I agree with you. We'll have to hear more about that. Good. Thank you very much, Elly. That was awesome. Heard things that I never knew about you, and over the time that we've been working in this club together, got to appreciate your energy and your persistence, your dedication to Rotary, and all the causes that are involved with that. So thank you again for doing the classification talk.
Thank you.
Which brings us to the next part of today's meeting, which is basically throwing it out to the members that are here, the individuals that are here, even if they're not completely members. But in the next month, we have our anniversary, our 5th anniversary, and several of us in the club, committee of 5, have been had a few meetings about that. And so we want to get some ideas from the people that are here today to come up with some certain things that you would like to see at that particular meeting. We will be looking at what we have done. And one of the things that's happened, just like Elly said, when you start putting it on paper, all the stuff that you've done, the same goes for our club. And we will address that, of what this club in the 5 years that it's been around, all the things it has done. But we also want to look at the future. We also want to look at where are we going to go. And for that, we're looking for some ideas for that particular one on subjects that we may want to consider to address. So, wondering if anybody has any ideas about that you want to talk about. One of the things that we came up with, a few of us, to talk about that as a topic to consider is the work that has been done in the past, and to revisit that and that is the visioning process results. And my first question is, I looked for it in Club Runner, but I couldn't find it. Do we know where the visions process results are?
Hi,
Bruce,
Peter.
have a copy, or some have a copy, or?
We have copies.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Jim, Jocelyn, sorry.
Right. I'm fighting off a throat infection, but
okay.
I believe we've got all of our visioning documents in Dropbox.
Bruce is writing, he's got a copy.
That's good, but it's not on Club Runner. I know at one time I saw it on Club Runner, or maybe attached to some minutes when I first went through that, but we need to somehow dig that up and I think take a look at that. But anyway, I want to ask you if you have any other plans, ideas, visions of things that we may want to address in next month. Anybody? Okay, here we go. In 5 years from now, how big should this club be? And how are we going to get there?
Peter, our visioning said 72 people, and we're the third year of 5. So we're at about 29.
Sorry?
Our visioning exercise said 72 people, or 75. That was the type of club size that we were looking for at the end of 5 years. That's when we did it with the group that was available then. And we're at third year now.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what do we do different? What are we going to do different to make it grow? There are several clubs that are about our age and that are at 60 and between 60 and 70 members all around the world, for instance. So anyway, is that something that we need to talk about?
Peter?
Yeah, go ahead.
Andine and I were just chatting, and we think social media is the way to go. And our Facebook page is not very exciting. So I think that maybe we could use that as a hook to get people interested.
Tell me. So tell me, how do you make a Facebook page exciting?
I don't know that, but have more interesting things on there. It doesn't change very often. Have some pictures, ongoing pictures of projects that we've even highlight some of our past projects. You need to have.
Why would that? Right, but why would that bring in new members?
Well, because people would be more interested in what we do as a club, for one thing. I mean, they don't see us as really doing a lot right now. People ask me, well, what does an e-club do? And they're quite surprised when I tell them what this club has done. But the general a Terra Rotarian who has no idea of an e-club would not know that we are or have been as active and done as many projects as we have. So maybe we need to be pushing those forward on our social media site and say interested in knowing more about us, and then we need a little tag or something to get people interested in checking out our meetings. Check out our meeting. This is our speaker this week. We need to be, I think, more active on that, because that's where people are going right now, is to social media. I don't know how else we can do it being an e-club.
Well, one of the things, for instance, is our format as a club, which is very good the way it works. However, there are other clubs that meet weekly online and have, just like a Terra Club, a meeting. And so they have a speaker every week also. And that's one of the things I think as an e-club, it's much easier to get speakers from all over the world to participate in an e-club meeting online than, you know, because you're not going to get them to come to Spruce Grove at a Rotary Club.
Well,
unless they happen to come on their way to events, you know.
You can see by the attendance here today that we have about 1/3 of the members at our monthly assembly. I know I joined the club because it gave me the flexibility to view the meeting when I was able to view the meeting. Now, if the meeting's changed to an online meeting where there's a speaker, are you going to have people available at those times? Or do we
I'm just throwing it out, yeah? Good.
Or do we do a hybrid where we have the speaker available, people attend, and then we post it as an e-club meeting for the rest of the week? That's another option as well. We do a hybrid kind of meeting. Suggestion?
That's the interesting part, that all those things are possible. You can do whatever you like, you know, but it is much easier to get people to come and present, because as it becomes more known and seen by others how easy it is to do that, and you don't have to leave your home, and you can bring your own, you don't have to worry about alcohol levels to drive home, you know, it's much easier to do that from your own house. And so those are kind of things too that we need to be aware of. I know Rotary International does not do much about e-clubs, so we're trying to change that in a way, and that's why we'll have a breakout session on e-clubs in Toronto as well. But in general, it is still a lot of regular Rotarians, so to speak, not aware of it whatsoever. Today, I got an email from the Rotarian that invited us to come to East Anglia tomorrow. And you may have seen the posting on the district Facebook page. But, you know, they have somebody coming there. They have a speaker, you know, every time. And he used the term e-Rotary. I really like that, because I think that's where Rotary is going to go to more and more in using the digital world to communicate, which makes it so much easier too.
Peter, it's Doug. Just further on the topic of recruiting, yeah, to me the well of potential members for us is largely former Rotarians, people that aren't able to make them. Just look at the people in attendance here tonight. You know, we've got a couple of new Rotarians, which is wonderful, but it's much easier to engage people that already know about Rotary, and then we just have to teach them about e-club. You know, it's difficult. I mean, I know Vicky and John Kay, you know, came from outside the Rotary world, and that's wonderful. But you know, there's a whole slew of people that are on the outside of Rotary, and they want to be on the inside, and we have to pursue that constantly. And then things like you know, we used to get lists from district governors of people that had left Rotary, and you know, we can, you know, that's the market. I think, you know, having a good Facebook page is great, but you know, we need to
but
get
do
more
we
returns.
but do we want to address that? I mean, do we want to do something at the anniversary about that? You know, that is something to look at, discuss that, and throw it out of different things of where we're going in the future. Because it's
Peter,
a bit of the theme that we have of going to the back and, you know, back into the future and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I think you're right. Maybe we're off track here a little bit, but you know, for that anniversary, could we be talking about what a club of 75 members could look like? You know, and just the idea of, you know, if we had 75 members, we're not how we're going to get there, but what would
the challenges you have as an e-club.
What can we do?
The challenges we have are quite a bit different, of course. Different challenges that come about because of geography. And those clubs that are all over the world, you know, they will have a combination of things because it becomes impossible. That's why Keith, very active member, does not show up here because he's sleeping.
Yeah.
And he just, you know, he has to go to bed. He goes to bed at a certain time, and it misses that too. So,
We need
Who's
somebody
on the committee? Who's on the committee? Who's on the committee, Peter?
Which committee?
For our 5th anniversary.
Oh, it's Doug, it's Elly, it's Chris, and Keith, and I. Looking into the future, James, what else do you see that you would like to, that we could maybe address on at our anniversary? Or you haven't thought about that, you're still getting ready for that. Jim, can you hear me? No, I don't know where he's at.
Sorry, sorry guys, I missed the whole thing here. I was outside of this. I finally got the meeting going on my computer. And we're
talking about what we can do at the anniversary meeting in regards to where we're going or where the future for E-Clubs and E-Club Canada 1, you know, could be, if there are certain things that we could address at, you know, at the anniversary meeting. We talked about membership. We talked about, see, you have to go catch a plane, Bruce, I think. Yes. So safe travels. So to, you know, what else we can do for that. We talked about how big our club is, you know, should be or could be, and looking at club growth as such. But maybe there's some other things that we want to address.
Well, in my mind, we definitely have a problem with our club right now with engagement. It's typically we have the same people here. You know, we call a meeting and we have the same 10 to 12 people. It's hard to get the silent members involved in decisions or in anything. And I'm not sure. We've been trying this for a few years now, and are there any thoughts from anybody else as to how we can actually get these people engaged?
Okay, because I agree with you. That is, you know, get a club where people participate and are doing Rotarian stuff, so to speak. Not just be a member, but be engaged indeed. And that's a struggle, and I think it's a struggle that everybody has. You know, we go back to the usual stuff of 80-20 rules and, you know, those kind of things, but still, there has to be a participation of individuals to do that. And it will be done at a different level than in a Terra Club, but I agree with you, Jim. That needs, that's a big issue.
Yeah, that's the big question.
You know, Peter and Jim, I agree. And oh gosh, I forgot the.
Have another sip of wine.
Another sip of wine. It's really tough to contact them. I feel that, doesn't it show you the interest when who attends the fellowship once a month? It's once a month, an hour. So everybody who is interested in this club, I believe, will make time that 1 hour a month. And that shows you the interest, I feel, in our club, whoever is attending. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Oh, yes. But what that means, I think, there's a bunch of people that can't make it, depending on where they are geographically or the time of day. So we have to do it at different times of the day and of the week. So we have to be more flexible. We can be much more flexible as an E-Club, way easier than a Terra Club. So flexibility is something that we need to talk about.
Totally. So can we rotate?
Of course. We can do whatever we want. We can do it at 7 o'clock in the morning, my time.
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
it's 4 o'clock. That's
Won't
a
be
good time
happening.
for Keith.
Yeah.
But
You know, I think that one of the challenges of the E-Club is that it's very impersonal. We have a lot of members, and it takes a long time to get comfortable with people and to get to really know them. And I think those of us who come to the two online meetings that we have a month, the board meeting and the fellowship assembly, gradually we get to know each other. But it's a very slow process so that you actually feel that you can be familiar with each other. And I think if we're going to be successful, we have to get more people involved in feeling familiar with each other, which leads back to what you said, Peter. Maybe we need more face-to-face meetings, and we really need to work at getting people to attend them, and then they will become more involved.
But in the same token, the FA, the fellowship assemblies at a different time. The coffee sips could be at a different time too. We don't have to do it because a lot of people cannot do it on the Thursday morning. So what's wrong? And, you know, 1 week do it here and 1 week do it then. And, you know, that is the other thing. We all have phones, we all have computers, they all have calendars, and they all have alarms. So you set it and say, that's when the meeting is. And if you can make it, you can make it. If you don't, you don't. There's no excuse that you can't be aware that there is going to be a meeting. So those are all kind of things that we have to become even more adept in utilizing that equipment that we have all in front of us, you know, right now, and put it to use. That's
I think you said flexibility is important here, because I know that the coffee chats are on Thursday mornings, and every Thursday morning there they are. And that's the time it just doesn't work for me. I've never been to a coffee chat, and as long as they're on Thursday morning, I probably never will be. So, yeah, flexibility is important here.
So, you know,
maybe we need to do a survey and ask people when coffee chats would be a good time.
Yeah, you just vary it. You're going to have a coffee chat, you're going to have a Scotch chat, you're going to have a wine chat, and they can be all at different times of the day. And you can even
I think that's a fabulous idea.
You know?
Yeah.
Like every day, there's 5 o'clock. There's 5 o'clock in the world, anytime and anywhere. You know, we can do it all the time. It's just a matter of varying it and putting that up, get the schedule in there, put it in your calendar, and they say, oh, yeah, here we go. And it doesn't, and for the same token, you can just call up somebody. I use the Zoom address in my signature in my email. I prefer to use Zoom now to communicate with individuals one-on-one as well. And much better than Skype, because one thing is, there's no advertising, there's no crap coming up, you know, in there at all. And the Zoom works much better, as far as I can tell now, than Skype, for instance. So we call a meeting, Brian, you know, I call somebody and say, let's have a chat.
So we've only got about 4 minutes left. So if I can just mention about the anniversary night, I think that should be a celebration rather than getting into heavy discussions. One of the things I don't want to put work onto Andina, but I wonder, as the Imagination Libraries being one of our major thing that our club's done and achieved, whether we could get some pictures from the new different communities, Andina, of the kids with their books, and maybe
it is the idea of what has happened and what is going on. We got that covered, David. We're looking for some other things to see where we can concentrate on whatsoever too. So that is where we have like the long list of what we have done. Once we start putting it down, is quite impressive, and the committee is is addressing that already too. So we were just looking at, say, where are the concerns or things, and that is not going to be. You can set up something and do something to maybe even have a speaker with a futuristic view or from another club to come and present to us as well of how that is happening too. And one of those things of how the different clubs are doing is what we're working on for Toronto. And so those are all kind of in the planning anyway. Thank you for that thought. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Elly, haven't heard from you. Yeah, well, we have heard from you, but not in this discussion. Have you anything else you would like to add?
I can't really think of anything that we can have for the future. And I think having a speaker, hopefully a Rotary leader, they will have these kind of messages for us. But,
I think we should look into that to get somebody that way.
Yeah, yes. Keith is in contact with the president, RI president.
Yeah, but somebody that leans towards e-clubs, would be. In 3 years, James Ferguson would be the first one that would come to mind, because he would be all over everybody with the e-club message.
And hopefully I figured out Facebook by then too.
Well, I was hoping that Jim will be on the agenda for future and talk a little bit about his goals as well, what he sees where we as an e-club and maybe as a district will be by the time.
In the future, for sure. I'm not even, I'm a fly in the wall right now at the district board meeting. So I don't have a say, but I can sit there and I can listen.
We're not talking about says, we're talking about vision and ideas. Just
going forward.
Go it out, go for it. Sharon, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just for suggestions, and somebody mentioned it right at the beginning of this conversation. If you haven't had a visioning session for 5 years, I think it's time to consider one, and that might be a suggestion.
It was 2 years. No,
it was my year. It was my year, so it was about 2 years ago.
How many?
About 2.5.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah. No. It's 2 years ago that.
It was a 5-year plan we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it possible for the rest of the club members to see that? Because
for sure.
I'm Club Runner.
It should be in Club Runner. I don't know why it isn't.
It should be part of your training.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, let's change that.
I think Bruce wrote that he was going to put it on the Club Runner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we have all the documents and stuff. I know it's in Dropbox for sure. I haven't checked on Club Runner, but definitely put it on there.
Jim, you keep talking about Dropbox, but nobody knows Dropbox. We don't have Dropbox.
So in other words, what I'm saying, Peter, is that we do have the documents.
Yes.
If they're not on the club directory, access to the members, they'll be put on the club directory. So.
Yeah, I know it's there because I at one time saw it when I was going through the minutes of the year. When I joined, I looked at the minutes through your year, and somewhere it is attached to one of the board meetings, I think, in those documents. So.
Jim, what was the name of the lady who coordinated that from BC?
Oh boy, I'd have to think about that one for a bit.
But she was from BC, right?
Yeah, she was from BC, yeah.
And she coordinated our visioning. Whole day session we did on that, and then she took it away and synthesized our input.
Wasn't it Pat somebody?
Yeah, I can't remember. I just can't remember it.
Well, I thought the good thing that we did there is we had our leader from outside of our area of interest or experience. And she just facilitated the meeting and facilitated our input. And then she went away and organized it, and we could look at it as chairs of committees, and we knew where we were headed. And that's what we did our planning based on last year. We just took our visioning plan and we said, okay, each committee, what do you want to do next? And then we used that visioning tool. So probably do the same thing this year, unless you want to revisit it.
I would like you to post it. It needs to be somewhere in Club Runner so anybody can access it and have a look at that. Whether it's going to be addressed or not, that's up to the board. That's a different story, or the incoming board. But, you know, we should all have a look at it, especially as we may want to, you know, get some ideas on that too. So anyway, I'm going to end the meeting and like to thank you all very much, and specifically Elly. And it was an excellent presentation. I will process this and I will cut you out and put you separately as a classification talker, so we can, you know, put it in the proper spots and stuff like that too. But you know, we'll have the meeting on the on YouTube by tomorrow. So thanks all very much for coming, and have a safe drive home. Oh yeah, no, it's different now. Yeah. Well, Undine has Undine, walk home safely. Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, Elly.